Look at your friend group right now. There is a leader. You didn't vote for them. Nobody announced it. But if you picture your 5 closest friends, one face comes to mind first. One person everyone checks with before making plans. You assume that was just personality? It's not. The real answer is far stranger, and it's been running in the background of your brain since before your species could speak. Every human group does this. Every single one. 2 strangers meet at a bus stop, and within minutes, something invisible has already been decided between them. Who leads? Who follows? Who speaks first in the silence? Why does this happen so fast? Your brain didn't invent this behavior. It inherited it. For most of human history, survival depended on group coordination. A scattered band of humans wandering the savannah without direction was a dead band. Someone had to decide which way to walk when the water dried up. Someone had to decide when to fight and when to run. The groups that sorted this out quickly lived. The groups that argued about it starved. So evolution did something efficient. It didn't wait for you to consciously assign roles. It built the sorting mechanism into your nervous system. The psychologist Mark van Vugt has spent years studying what he calls the evolutionary roots of leadership. His research suggests that humans evolved specialized psychological mechanisms for detecting who should lead, and these mechanisms activate almost instantly, often within seconds of meeting someone new. You are not deciding who's in charge. Your brain already decided. You're just catching up to it. This is where it gets stranger. You'd think leadership would go to the smartest person, or the kindest. It doesn't work that way. Your ancient brain isn't scanning for wisdom. It's scanning for signals that once meant survival. Confidence, physical presence, decisiveness under pressure. The person who speaks first and speaks certainly, even when they're wrong, often wins the invisible vote. Researcher Cameron Anderson at UC Berkeley has documented this again and again. In his studies on social status, groups consistently rank confident individuals higher in perceived competence, even when those individuals perform no better on objective tasks. Confidence gets mistaken for capability every time. Think about that for a second. Your brain would rather follow someone who seems sure than someone who actually knows more. Why would evolution build something so easily fooled? Because for most of human history, hesitation was the more dangerous trait. A leader who paused too long while a predator approached got the whole group killed. A leader who acted, even imperfectly, kept people moving, kept people together. Certainty was a survival shortcut, not a truth detector. Your brain adopted it long before logic ever entered the picture. Now here's where the story gets even more uncomfortable. This hierarchy doesn't just decide who talks first at dinner. It decides who gets remembered, who gets blamed, and who gets forgiven. In 1954, psychologist Muzafer Sherif ran an experiment that has haunted social psychology ever since. He took a group of ordinary 12-year-old boys to a summer camp called Robbers Cave and split them into 2 teams. Within days, without any adult instruction, each group had spontaneously formed its own leader, its own rules, and its own enemies. The other team became the outsiders almost overnight. Loyalty formed instantly. Hostility formed just as fast. Nobody told those boys to build a hierarchy. They just did. Because that's what human brains do the moment they're placed inside a group. You do this too, right now. In your friend group, in your family, in your work meetings. A hierarchy already exists, whether or not anyone admits it out loud. Does that mean you have no choice in the matter? Not exactly. This is the part almost nobody talks about. Primatologist Franz de Waal spent decades studying hierarchy in chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, and he found something surprising. Dominance wasn't the only path to leadership. Alliance building mattered just as much. Chimps who formed strong cooperative bonds could outlast and even overthrow purely aggressive alphas. Leadership wasn't only about who was loudest, it was also about who was most trusted. Humans inherited both systems, the instinct to follow confidence and the instinct to follow connection. Which one wins depends on the group, the situation, and sometimes just who showed up first. That's the twist your brain doesn't want you to notice. The leader of your friend group isn't fixed. They're not chosen because they're objectively better than you. They're chosen because, in that specific moment, their signals matched what your ancient brain was scanning for. Change the situation, and the hierarchy can shift entirely. The quiet one in your group who never speaks up at parties might be the first person everyone turns to during an actual crisis. Different signal, different leader, same ancient wiring underneath. So the next time you're in a group chat or planning a trip with friends, watch closely. Notice who suggests the restaurant first. Notice who everyone waits on before finalizing plans. Notice the tiny pause before someone says, "Yeah, let's do that," to whoever spoke with the most certainty. That pause is thousands of years old. It's not weakness. It's not even really a choice. It's a survival mechanism still running quietly underneath a text thread about where to get dinner. You're not just choosing a restaurant. You're reenacting something your ancestors did on the savannah, just with better lighting and worse consequences if you pick the wrong place. Here's the part that should actually change how you see yourself. If leadership were purely about intelligence or kindness, this system would feel fair. It doesn't always feel fair, because it isn't always accurate. The most capable person in your group might be the quietest one. The one everyone defers to might just be the one who talks the fastest. Recognizing that gap is the first step to closing it. Once you notice that certainty is being mistaken for competence, you start listening differently. You start noticing the person who hesitates but happens to be right. That awareness alone changes group dynamics. It did for those boys at summer camp once researchers stepped in and gave both teams a shared goal to work toward instead of a shared enemy. The hierarchy softened. The hostility dissolved. Cooperation replaced competition almost overnight. Maybe the goal was never to remove the hierarchy. Maybe the goal was to notice it, question it, and occasionally hand the compass to someone quieter who might actually know the way. So look at your friend group again. There's still a leader. But now you know why. You know the ancient shortcut running underneath every group decision you've ever made. And maybe the next time that pause happens, right before everyone waits for the confident voice to speak first, you'll be the one who breaks the pattern. If this made you rethink who actually leads your friend group, tell me in the comments who that person is for you and why. Subscribe for more of the hidden science behind the things you do every single day without noticing.